Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Kayla, aka Jesus Girly K. I do want to thank you so much for tuning into this video. Today, I will be sharing my testimony, so I hope you stay tuned until the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, press that notifications bell so that you are notified every single time that I post, where I will share tons and tons of godly content as well as my podcast. We are going to jump right into it. And if you see me looking down, I have notes on my iPad. So I am just kind of keeping note of what I'm, sharing with you all. That way I don't get off topic because your girl has undiagnosed ADHD. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to stay on track today. And yeah, let's get right into it. All right. So we're going to start with my childhood. As a child, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I grew up with a single mom. So my mom had 3 kids. She had my older sister, myself, and then my younger brother. By the time I was 4 years old, my father passed away. So I never really got a chance to really know my dad. He died at a very young age for me. And I still have memories of him, and I can even remember dreams that God gave me to kind of keep me sane as an adult. But it's just like I never really had the chance to have that full blown relationship with him because again he died when I was 4. He actually died due to gun violence, and it was something that wasn't even his fault. So he was kind of like in the wrong place at the wrong time. So growing up, my sister and my brother, they had their fathers. Even though her dad, he wasn't as active. My brother's dad wasn't as active, but they always had family. So for me, I didn't have any of that. I always was pretty much just with my mom's side of the family, or I was always with my mom. So that hurt me as a child, just kind of feeling rejected by my dad's side of the family because it wasn't like I didn't reach out. I did. I would reach out. I would leave voicemails. I would call all the time. I would have people tell me that they're going to get me. They would lie. They would show up. So that started off, or it was like a seed of rejection was planted almost immediately as a young child. So fast forward, I got into elementary school. And when I started elementary school, everything was good. Of course, I was just a child, and I believe like the first couple of grades, like kindergarten through the second grade, were all pretty good for me. Moving into third to fifth grade, when I was in third to fifth grade, we had like a huge transition because my mom, she was actually in a domestic violence relationship for 7 years. So majority of the first part of me being in elementary school, she was in that domestic violence relationship. And when I moved to the third grade, we moved into like these new apartments. The apartments that we lived in were not like good apartments, y'all. It was the hood, okay? And if you are from Jacksonville, Florida, then you know what the hood is. Eureka Gardens, especially back then in like 2008, 2007. I don't need to say too much. When we moved into Eureka Gardens, we went to this one school, and it wasn't far from the apartment. So we sometimes we'll walk, sometimes we'll just, my mom will take us up there, but most times we would walk to school. When we got there, like I said, my mom had just left a domestic violence relationship. So she was doing the best that she could. And we never we never wanted for anything or nothing like that. But it was like her starting all the way over. So as far as like the other kids in school, they might have like, brand new Jordans. They have all these cool shoes, Nikes, all of that. Not saying that we wouldn't have that stuff. We still would have it. But it would be like, we might have Reeboks. Okay, I might have had some Reeboks though. And mind you, it was a uniform school, so the only thing that's really standing out to anybody is your shoes. So if you have some shoes that look crazy, even if you look good, your uniform is neat, your hair is done, you know what I'm saying, they still would find something to kind of like laugh at. So for me, this is where I believe like the enemy planted seeds of insecurity. Um, in elementary school, it started with the shoes. I would get talked about for not having the newest shoes, or then it got into like my skin, and they always would talk about my skin tone. Okay, so I know right now I probably look brown skin. I'm a dark skinned woman. Have no shame in being dark skinned anymore. because I did at one point because how people made me feel. But yeah, so I got like picked on almost every single day just over my skin tone. Little jokes like, oh, like of course they're saying you're black and blah blah blah. Like it would just always be so many mean things. So I used to be a child that loved going to school, and at that point I honestly started to hate it. I didn't want to go to school. Every single day I was full of anxiety, worrying about what people had to say. If I liked somebody, I never really wanted to say that I had a crush on anybody because I didn't feel like I was pretty enough. I didn't feel like I looked nice enough because people pointed out the things that were different or that most people didn't find attractive. I dealt with that, like I said, from third to the fifth grade. This is where things started to take a turn for me. So again, I grew up in like a Christian, not a Christian household, but I grew up knowing about Jesus because my grandmother is saved, my grandfather, they've been saved literally since they were like 17 and 19. So I already knew about Christ. However, it was like, of course, once you start to get older, you start to see other things. You're around other people. You have cousins. You have people that kind of influence your view of things. So I wasn't really focused on Jesus, but I also always had like this reverence for him, just knowing how real he was. My grandmother always told us like different things when we were kids, like you were born a girl, you were born a boy. She would let us know different things like that. Don't let anybody trick you into thinking this. And then also she taught a lot about hell. So she gave us the truth. A lot of people nowadays don't want to hear about hell. Back then for us, that was a normal thing. We talked about it. It sounded scary, but she let us know, hey, you don't have to go there, you know? So I remember her always letting us know that basically if you ever try to unalive yourself, you could end up there. Okay. So as far as the bullying, when I dealt with bullying for a while, it got so bad. Like I said, it was everyday anxiety. Every day I'm worried. Every day I'm just scared to even move the wrong finger, to even like, because every day it was something for me, like literally every day. So point where I did not want to be here. And it's so sad to think about because I was like 9 years old. My oldest daughter is 7. Okay. So to think in 2 years she would have thoughts like that, not ever discuss it with anybody, and even attempt it is concerning, or it's just it's heartbreaking. So I was 9, and I believe that was like my first time ever attempting to unalive myself. I'm one of those people, I don't really like pain though, okay? So even if I would try to unalive myself, it would be certain things. I never tried doing any pills or anything like that, but I wanted something quick. I remember I tried to unalive myself by hanging. That didn't work. I remember getting upset about something. I like pushed on my temples really hard. Like it would be stuff like that. Nobody knew. Okay. Nobody knew. I didn't tell my mom until I was in my 20s, and I'm still in my 20s. So she just found out honestly a few years ago that I tried that. But I did not want to be here, y'all. I was so hurt by everything. I felt like I don't have my dad. I don't want to cry on here. My goodness, Lord Jesus, please don't do that to me. I don't have my dad. I don't have my family on my dad's side. All I have is my mom. My mom is still young and probably in her 20s at the time or early 30s. She's still dating at this point. She wasn't married yet. And it's like, I just was in a place where it was like the enemy had so many people almost confirming lies about me. So I started to believe them, and I felt worthless. I felt like, well, it's no point in me being here. I'm pretty sure like I wanted to just go be with God, go be with Jesus, go be with my dad. And it's like it was just so much to me that was just like unfair, you know? So I dealt with that on and off for probably about 2 to 3 years. Um, and over this time as well, I also went through different things with family members saying me, or men kind of looking at me like I was just like a grown woman. It was like a lot of sexual perversion. I don't get too much into it because I don't want to get my video blocked. But I dealt with wanting to unalive myself. I got past that. Eventually, I just started to not care about it. I still had to deal with bullying and stuff like that, even throughout middle school. somewhat, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I started to fight. I didn't get really bad in fighting. I did end up fighting like boys. I fought a couple boys, and I think I really just fought boys. I don't think I ever really fought a girl. But one thing that always made me feel good was music. So I knew I could sing. I found out I could sing probably around the same age that the unalive wanting to be, wanting to unalive myself came about around 9. I knew I could sing, and it was like validated by family and stuff like that. So I started to do different things all throughout middle school, like as I started to kind of transition. And I was doing modeling, I was singing, and I was dancing, I was doing talent shows, I was doing all this different stuff. And I even went as far as going to the X Factor, which, if you don't know what that is, it was a singing show with Simon Cowell on it. So I went there, but that did not work out. I went there when I was like 14 and got denied, y'all. So that was like a big, big, big punch to the doggone face, you know? But honestly, like, I thank God looking back, because that's been 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago. And I just thank God for blocking that, because I was trying to get into like R&B. I wasn't trying to do just gospel music or nothing like that. Now we're going to go into high school. So again, we just got to remember like the sexual perversion and all of that, y'all, because when I got into high school and I got older, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 17, but I knew a lot about sex. And honestly, like, the things that I knew, it was really just because of sexual perversion. It was because of people touching me. It was because of people like kind of showing me these things. And yeah. So when I got into high school and stuff, I just realized that I dealt with lust a lot. I dealt with the spirit of lust. I always would think about sex, literally just thought about it all the time. I wouldn't do it, but I would think about it. And then, of course, as you get older, you know about masturbation. All that stuff kind of came about as well, porn, stuff like that. So I dealt with that very heavy behind the scenes. And now I'm exposing myself, okay? Yeah. So I dealt with that for years, almost feeling like something was wrong with me because I would masturbate like a lot. So I'm sorry, my family. Sorry, y'all, that y'all finding out this way. But I got to tell my testimony to try and help set other people free. So I did deal with that for a long time, even in my 20s, even as an adult. I really feel like it didn't stop until I got saved. There's a big one. Fast forward, and like I said, in high school, dealing with the lustful desires, dealing with all of this stuff like that, rejection of family, well, from family, the bullying, and all of that, just not really feeling confident. So even in high school, I wasn't super, super confident in myself. I honestly was very reserved, but I still would attract people. So it was like people that would like me, and I wouldn't think that they liked me because I didn't feel like I was beautiful at that time. Like, it's like I did, but I didn't. It was weird. Cause it's like, okay, I know, okay, I get in the mirror and I'm like, oh girl, you're so pretty, you're fine, and hype myself up. But then if I see a boy that is interested in me that I would feel like it's out of my league, then I would kind of be like, and then I would second guess myself. By the time I was 17 or 16, I met my first daughter's dad. Okay, not met him. I already knew him. I met him in middle school in like 8th grade, and he left for like a long time, a few years. He moved out of town. And then when I was 16, at like a very vulnerable state, he came back around. During that time, I had met this guy, and he was like my best friend, but I actually liked him, and I believe he liked me too. But we got really close, and he was like somebody that all the girls wanted, okay? Football player, all this stuff like that. Liked him a lot. I went on, he ended up talking to another girl, and it was like around the time that I really felt like I started kind of making moves, kind of letting him know that I liked him and stuff like that. But it was like he ended up talking to this other girl. She was very pretty. So he started dating her, and that hurt. That hurt me a lot. It hurt me a lot, y'all, because I felt like that rejection again. And it was like, dang, I'm finally trying to put myself out there. I'm finally kind of trying to tell him, even without telling him that, hey, I like you, hey, I kind of want to be with you, but it kind of felt like he was just like overlooking me. And then he ended up dating this other girl. Now it goes from me being in school with him like almost every day and being with him and stuff like that, just chilling, to him being with her. And that was like a hard pill to swallow. So anyway, it ended up kind of pushing me into a relationship. So I got with my daughter's dad. He actually came back, like I said, randomly. Like he just popped up on my Facebook page one day, and then he started to send me messages, and we started talking. And this was about somebody that I had a really, really big crush on before my boy best friend at the time. You know, he don't want to talk to me. He talking to such and such. So I'm just gonna back away. I'll just go over here and do my own thing. So I got with my daughter's dad, and when I got with him, he was in Philadelphia and I still lived in Florida. So I'm still in high school. He is older than me, so he was already out of school. And we started to date, and that lasted for a little while, like just texting and stuff like that. And then about 6 months later, he ended up moving to Florida to be with me. A few months passed into our relationship. I ended up losing my virginity to him. Probably like a year into our relationship is really when things start to take a turn, because that's when domestic violence started. Okay, so he was a violent person. I never been like the type that want to just put my hands on people, especially people that I say I love. So for me, it was different. But then at the same time, I had saw it with my mom. Now comes the cheating, the disrespect, the cursing me out, all types of different stuff that was like just harmful or hurtful to me. And I can honestly say in that relationship, I didn't do nothing to him. This is like my first version of love outside of my dad. So this is where I feel like there was a huge shift in my life, in my spirit, because I'm telling y'all, like I don't know, like I just really I lost myself in that relationship. So I kind of I backed up from a lot of people. He was very controlling as well. So I used to take my phone. He would delete messages. He would delete phone calls from people. They would send me stuff. I wouldn't see it. And then now to them it looks like, oh, I sent you a message. I was checking on you. You didn't say nothing to me, but I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like he had my phone like all the time. And he was like I said, he was very controlling. So I had to kind of try to navigate high school, because this is still within my junior and senior year. I'm trying to navigate through high school. Now me and my boy best friend at the time, we are not as close because he was already insecure over him. And I had kind of told him, just thinking I could trust him with the information, I told him different things about me and my boy best friend and how I felt. So me and him are not as close. I started to lose like people around me, and people that meant a lot to me at that. So it's not even like these are just people that I felt like were, oh, I can replace you. No, it was like they meant a lot to me, and that kind of sent me into a depression. So I was very sad all the time. I started not to look like myself. I started gaining weight. My hair, every time I would get my hair done, I felt like my hair was never right. It was just like a lot of stuff that happened that transpired from that relationship. So let's get out of there. I'm out of high school. By the time I graduate high school, I'm already pregnant with my oldest daughter. I graduated, I believe, in June 2nd. I found out I was pregnant May 12th of 2017. So I had my baby. I'm no longer friends with my boy best friend. Um, who else? I lost a girl best friend at the time. So we stopped talking. And then now it's like I'm in this relationship with him. So even throughout my pregnancy, the pregnancy was not good. As far as my baby, she was always healthy, but I had to deal with a lot of drama with him. So the cheating, the lying, the disrespecting me, even putting his hands on me. Like when I was 9 months pregnant, he pushed me, I fell. It was a lot. I had to start working when I was like 6 months pregnant with my daughter, because I couldn't, I couldn't keep up with that. I stopped working. I lose my car, by the way. I had my first car. It was a 2015 Hyundai Accent. Very cute, very small car for a young girl. And I lost my car being in this relationship. Like, so much happened. Okay. And that's just kind of summing everything up. We stayed together for like 3.5 years, and we broke up. I broke up with him because, like I said, when I was 9 months pregnant, he pushed me down. I fell. And that was the last straw for me. So that was in like December of 2017. My daughter was born January 10th, 2018. So it was literally like a week, 2 weeks apart at 19 years old. So that was a lot. I transitioned from being this girl in high school that was always dressed up, always kept herself up, always very ambitious, even singing in talent shows and doing certain stuff, and having like not even a lot of friends, but having like the right people around me, to being this young woman that is now I can't even go straight to college. Now I just had this whole domestic violence relationship. I've gained weight. I don't look the same. I don't feel the same. Just so many negative emotions that came along with that relationship. So mind you, I don't blame him. Being an adult and knowing how the enemy works, he went through a lot as a child. He lost his parent, you know what I'm saying, like his mom. It was a lot of different stuff that happened to him too that I feel like impacted the way that he treated me. Because they say hurt people, So this is not to blame him. It did happen. It is what it is. And again, I'm just sharing my testimony. So if anyone takes offense, I do apologize, but I have to tell the truth of what happened to me. Moving on. Now I'm a single mother, and I was still living with my mom even when I was like once I gave birth. I think I left my mom's house before my daughter turned 1. She was like 10 months. I moved out at 19. I got a new job and I had my own car. At this time, I lived with my sister, so I didn't have my own place for real yet, but I technically am in my own little place, me and my child. So now everything is starting to look up again. I'm out here, I'm just living life, I'm dating and just kind of texting people and entertaining people. But this is also when like the lust crept in, because at the time, like I said, I lost my virginity to her dad. I did not move on sexually to anybody until we were broken up for like a year. And then I started to do that. But by this time he had another kid on the way. So it was a lot of stuff that happened. Y'all, it's a whole lot. I just gotta sum it up. So I went ahead and met someone else. He was an older man. Dealt with him, broke up, or not even broke up. We wasn't together, but I was just kind of like giving my body to this person that was not even ready for a relationship. That happened repeatedly. And you would think that I would learn, because I thought I would have learned. I thought I'd be smarter than that, but it's like at the time I felt like I wasn't even hurting then. I just was really just kind of doing what I wanted to do. It was like, hey, if I like you and I feel like you are a good fit for me, then maybe we'll get there. Um, and I just had no reverence at that time as far as like sexual immorality. So it wasn't like a whole lot of people, but I had my fair share of being out there in the world. So I tried, like, dating him, that didn't work. Moved on to the next person. Dated him for a little bit, that didn't work. Moved on to this other person. And this one, we dated for like a year and a half, I believe. And now this is kind of where real trauma hits as far as like the dating world, because with this person, he came in with a different type of spirit. I felt like he was very sweet in the beginning. He was understanding. Both of us had lost a parent. So he understood me. And I remember like one of our first conversations, he really was able to help me to explain the way that I felt about losing my dad. He didn't come out the gate wanting sex. We literally just dated. We talked. He would do stuff like, oh, I'll bring you ice cream when my cycle was on. Or he would book a movie for us. He accepted my child. So it was like very nice. We started dating, I think, in September of 2019. Was that 19? Yeah, 2019 we started dating in September. And then we went on a trip in October. That was my birthday trip. Went on a trip in October, and then by November he started to kind of act weird. So he would be like, "Oh, I could just tell he was scared." So it's not even weird. It was more so scared that he started to like me a lot. At least that's what it gave off. So it was like he would just kind of get, I don't know, he just got a little weird and just was like, oh, well, I don't really want a relationship and this and that. And I'm just like, well, that's not what you was telling me this whole time. So it just was a lot. So I had this one person that's now confusing me, and I also kind of feel rejected because I'm giving you love. I'm showing you love. I'm not showing you anything else but love. And when I finally think that I found somebody that understands me, this is what you do randomly. Okay. Then he would always retract. And it's like, oh no, I like you and this and that. And then we start talking again. So again, this is 2019. I end up moving in February of 2020 into my first actual apartment by myself for me and my daughter. So me and him were still dating throughout this time. He would come over my house. We would, mess around. We would just watch TV, all of this stuff like that. And I would always kind of be there for him, trying to talk to him about different stuff, whether it was like the stuff about his mom passing, because with him, the funny part is with the two people that I did date before my husband, both of their moms passed and both of them found their moms unalived. So he saw that and he would tell me, like, because he had a very bad like smoking problem, and I'm just like, okay, you might want to try to back up on that, because I would even try to introduce Bible study to him then. Okay, because I always been like, in the back of my mind, even though I was in sin, I knew about Jesus and I knew what I was doing was wrong. So I wanted to make sure that, I mean, I wanted him to be my husband at the time. So I'm like, okay, I see you as a husband, boom, boom, boom. So we date, we date, we date. And then I'm just gonna try to fast forward this because there's still more stuff I have to say, y'all. So I don't want to keep it too long. We date from September of 2019 up until about, well, I guess it was, we still were dealing with each other a little bit after that, but it was just crazy. So September of 2019 up until about August of 2020. So almost a year of like full blown, this is who I'm gonna be with, or this is who I'm dating. So the whole time he's telling me like, oh well, you know, I only want to be with you, blah blah blah. But he started to act different. So I knew something was going on because he started to say, oh, I'm going to my cousin's house. I'm going to my cousin's house. I'm doing this with my cousin, my cousin, my cousin. And before he was never doing anything with his cousin. So I started to have a lot of fake pages that would like watch me. They would just like watch me and block me, even a real page, which I later on found out who that person was. But they would just watch my page. Like, then I'm just trying to make sure I keep up, y'all, because that story gets crazy. In about August, I found out that he was dating someone else. So mind y'all, this is in 2020. In April of 2020, my auntie passed away from breast cancer. I was going through it at the time, and he was still kind of playing games. So he would just be like, oh, I can't come over today, or oh, I'm with my cousin. So I started to pick up on that. I have a child. My child is now attached to you. She's looking for you when she comes in the door. You know what I'm saying? So it's different stuff like that that started to happen that was really getting on my nerves. Then I lost my auntie, and I'm like, look, you can leave. Whatever you doing, you do it. You keep telling me every time I ask you, you don't want a relationship. So I will let you be free. He's like, okay, he agreed. But mind y'all, we worked at a place that was not far from my apartments. It was in like the Orange Park area, and we worked over there. So even on his lunch breaks, like he was still coming to my house, even when I had like broke stuff off of him. He was coming to my house and he would park outside and just like smoke in the car. But I'm like, you could have did this on in the parking lot, because the parking lot was really big. You wouldn't get caught over there. It's multiple businesses over there. So anyway, but then probably like a few days passed, maybe a week. And then he came to my house. This was in like May, I believe, of 2020. Came to my house pretty much on bended knee, and like was, oh, I really love you and I care about you. And, I don't see myself being with nobody else but you. I am talking to somebody else, but it's not serious with me and her. And, basically, I don't want to lose you. He even like colored this whole picture and stuff, all this extra stuff that he like colored at work, like saying that he was thinking about me. August comes. Now in August, I start to notice that again, you are steady falling off. It's more happening. You are not really coming around as much. It feels like I'm pulling teeth if I ask you to come over. Why do I have to keep asking you to come over? And I noticed that it's this one girl that is like in his likes, almost everything that he posts, you liking his stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I still peep the stuff that's going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, she's on his page and this and that. And I started to watch her story, and she was doing little petty stuff. where she was trying to let it make it be known. Like even if she used like the world emoji and an orange heart. So now I'm like, yeah, so it's confirmed you're dealing with her and blah blah blah. I go off on him, y'all. I wasn't safe that time, so I cuss him out real bad. Text him like basically get your behind over here right now, or we finna have a problem. So he leaves her, he drops her off, he comes to my house. And then we have a whole conversation and he's apologizing. He's saying this, he's saying that. And I find out stuff that he did with her sexually, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, I just told him basically, you can do what you're doing because I'm not going to deal with it. You would have thought everything was done right then and there. But now things are making sense. Now I realized that the person that was watching me on fake pages, it had to be her. One of the people that was watching me from their real page was actually her cousin. It was like they were studying me for months before I even knew about her. So anyway, to make a long story short, he got to a point where he was just like, basically, he's gonna be with her. He don't want to be with me. Boom, boom, boom. But even though he had been like texting me and still talking about taking a trip, and I was trying to leave him alone, and then every now and then we still was messing around, and yeah, okay. So now all of a sudden he like, oh, I don't want to be with you. I want to be with her. Okay, that hurt. That hurt my feelings really bad. Again, that seed of rejection kind of rumbling back up. I always felt like at the end of the day, if somebody chooses to do what they want to do with somebody else, you allow them to do that. And, you know, so I let him be. I'm like, okay, cool. Y'all do what y'all do. Just don't talk to me no more. I blocked him on like everything. Until this day, they still block both of them. So I blocked them on like every single thing. And then I pretty much was letting everything go. From that point forward, I started dealing with this other person. Okay. Now I'm dealing with him. And I told him straight up, like, hey, I had already met him months before all this even happened. But so we started dealing with each other. Everything going good. But again, it's like it's no Jesus in it. We would talk about God and stuff like that, but we still would have sex outside of marriage. We still would do a lot of things that we shouldn't have been doing. And then the whole time that I'm dealing with him, I'm being stalked on fake pages. Literally. One page was from the boy, another page had to be from the girl, and then her cousin, like I said, this I ended up finding out later that that was her cousin. But he also was watching my page and blocking me right after he did it. I'm being sent random text messages on my phone, just cursing me out, laughing at me, and saying all this crazy stuff. And B, you can't have him. And this is where it gets crazy because she knew the person, the girl that he was dating. She knew the person that I was dealing with, like after him. And I didn't know that they knew each other. Okay. So now I'm like in the blind. Then she's telling me, like, yeah, you stupid HO. I know who you dealing with, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, who am I dealing with? Did she tell me the boy name, but she used a nickname? I'm like, that's not his name. And so, y'all, it just got crazy. So then she lied. She told these people that she told the boy that I was dealing with before that she had got with, and she told the boy that I was dealing with currently at the time that I had sex with both of them unprotected, and I gave them both of a STD. I'm like, I know my body. I've never had an STD in my life. Okay, so where's this coming from? But she would like text me on different numbers and tell me like what she's gonna do, and oh yeah, I'm gonna tell them that you get them an STD, this and that. So now the boy that I'm dealing with now for a few months at that point, he is upset with me. I get cussed out. I get text messages from his brothers who live in California. Everybody's threatening to unalive me over my hoo-ha. I'm like, I didn't even do it's funny now, y'all, but it was not funny at the time. Like, I didn't even do nothing. I'm like, I did not do that. So anyway, that happened, but that's when unaliving myself came about to my mind again. Because at this point, I'm a single mom. The person that I want to be with really bad, he chose another female over me. Now this female is basically tormenting me through a man that I'm dealing with now. I'm trying to get over the hurt of you even disrespecting me and choosing somebody else over me. But I can't seem to move on all the way because every time I turn around, this girl is bothering me. And I don't know, regardless of the fact, it was just like a whole, I think, year and some change. Because this stuff went on up until I changed my phone number in July of 2021. So December of 2020, New Year's Eve, I get a text message from from no, my friend. It was a mutual friend that me and the boy that I was with originally that said he didn't want to be with me no more or deal with me, whatever. Um, he called me at like 9 o'clock at night. So I'm just in my apartment chilling with my child. I get a call from our mutual friend, a FaceTime call. I'm like, what? He calling me? Because mind y'all, he moved from Florida. He went to Atlanta. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, hey, what's up? We started talking. And he like, you talked to such and such? I said, no. I'm like, no, I haven't talked to him because he said he wanted to be with that girl. So I let him be with that girl. I gave him the whole story. He said, look, I'm about to send you this. He sent me a message that the boy I was dealing with before had sent him. And mind y'all, the whole time that I wasn't talking to him, like I said, I blocked him on all social media platforms, but he was watching me from a fake page, which he admitted to. So he texted the boy, our mutual friend, and told him to like check me. Like, hey, get your girl Kayla, because I need her back. This and that. Like, I made a mistake. I let him back in. He calls me on New Year's Eve. He's professing his love for me and all of this stuff. And yeah, at the same time while he's doing that, the girl's blowing him up because I guess he had told her that he didn't want to be with her. So she's blowing up his phone, snapping on him, and she's asking him stuff like, "What does she have that I don't have?" He told me this, by the way. That's how I know. So that stuff, it went crazy. So by the end of the night, because mind you, this all is happening earlier in the day. So by that same night, December 31st, 2020, he calls my phone and he tells me like, hey, I can't do this. I can't hurt her like that, this and that, and I just need to stay with her and blah blah blah. Of course I'm hurt. I'm pissed because I'm like, I let you back in. I wasn't talking to you at this point for like 4 months. You came back and bothered me. I allowed you back in and you played in my face. Okay, so I was pissed off. I texted him from my daughter's iPad and basically we had sex. We had sex on New Year's. And it was just because, honestly, a pride thing, an ego thing for me at the time. I used to have this thing where it's like, I, I don't, basically, I'm just going to show you what you're missing out on. Okay, I'm going to give it to you and I'm going to show you yeah. I ended up doing that, having sex with him. Um, and then what happened? After we had sex with each other, stuff still was blowing up with me and the girl because I think she was stalking me and John. So I was going off. And to make a long story short, a few days later had passed, and somebody had texted him from a fake number, like threatening him. And then he was like, "Oh, basically, I was doing it." So okay, cool, okay, cool. So now I'm doing this to you, and I'm threatening to have somebody come to your house, and this and that, and blah blah blah. So he gets upset. He comes over to my house at the time, and to make a long story short, he punched me in my face. We got into it. I snatched his glasses off his face because he was on the phone with the girl the whole time, and he had been like disrespecting me, calling me out my name. Had never did that before. He was calling me out my name. He had been really aggressive. He was pushing me. I was trying to get I had got a teddy bear for him. Um, early on in our like situationship, I got a teddy bear for him, and it basically had his mom's voice in it because his mom passed away. I found a video. I put her voice in the teddy bear. I gave him that teddy bear. So this is probably kind of mean on my part, y'all, but I definitely was so pissed off that I took it back. I took the teddy bear back because I'm just like, at the end of the day, you treating me like I'm nothing. You're talking to me like calling. I'm talking about calling me a HO. I don't want to be with this HO and this and that and this B. And I'm like, in the midst of all of the pain I'm already feeling from us not being together, you came back when I was okay. Now you come back and you're causing more hurt in my heart because now you're watering that seed of rejection even more. And then I just gotta sit back and act like nothing happened. No, like I was hurt. So, and now I got a freaking black eye. This is like January the 4th. My daughter, her birthday is January 10th. I was in this place where it was just kind of like, God, what am I doing? What am I doing in my life? I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this, but I have my daughter. I can't leave my daughter. I know how it feels to lose a parent. And I know it would hurt even more to lose a mother. I lost my dad and I'm hurt by that. So her not having her dad, because he wasn't really that active, and then not having me would be a problem. Child, when it rains, it pours, child. So I ended up getting the black eye, whatever. Called the police on him, sent him to jail probably like the next day. The girls texted my phone. She was texting me from fake numbers. Again, aha, that's why you got a black IB and this and that. She just kept bothering me. And then like they would the people was calling me from the police station and stuff. They're like, hey, do you want to press charges? This and that. And I was gonna press charges on him, y'all. But I got to a point where I was in the hospital because I was going through it. It was like I was so stressed out, y'all. So anyway, I'm not gonna dwell on that too long because I still have other stuff to talk about, y'all. So that happened. Me and him stopped dating. Whole situation, I'm thinking that's ended. So now we're gonna go into okay. So after that too, I started to deal with other people, and I I I had my little HO phase. Okay. Now I didn't rack up too many bodies, but I don't recommend it regardless. We honestly should just be with our spouses. I was hurting so bad that it just kind of made me just I started to hurt people. I got with people and I would put that thing down and I would just dip out. I'd be like, I don't care. Like if you want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. I don't care. Don't try to make me your girlfriend. I don't want a boyfriend. I got to this place where I was like bitter and I didn't want nobody trying to even think about loving me. It's like, just leave me alone. So I would have sex with people, but I wouldn't be with you. In the minute that you try to say that we are together or anything like that, you got to go. I had never thought that I would be that type of person, but I did become really heartless. I was just kind of like cold hearted, like, I don't care. I don't care. And I just kind of did what I wanted to do. And even if, like I said, they caught feelings or they had feelings before we would mess around, I still was just like, I'm not going to be your girlfriend. I don't care. Child, turn me to a monster, child. Turn me to a monster. But God had other plans. Okay, so now we're gonna get into my husband. Word. 2 months after this situation happened in January of 2021, I meet my husband. So really, February of 2021, the next month, he had sent me a message on Instagram. I ignored him because I was so pissed off with men. I ignored that doggone message and I saw it. I logged out of social media for 30 days. And then I got back on. And then I sent him a message back because I was always like, okay, if the message still there, I'll respond. If it's not there, he ain't got to worry about it. So I logged back in. I sent him a message, and he tried to do his little riz. You know what I'm saying? Got my number, and he was stationed in Hawaii at the time, so we were not like near each other at all. So he was stationed in Hawaii. We started dating. I'm still kind of dealing with this other person, but not having sex with him anymore. Um, Not full blown like sex, but other stuff. So we were still kind of dealing with each other, but I was just letting him know, like, hey, I like this person over here, and this is who I want to be with, and blah blah blah. So whole little thing happened. I cut the boy off and I got with my husband, not my now husband. So once we started dating, my daughter, she was 3. Like I said, she had just turned 3 in January of the same year. And we started to talk every day, text every day. And then eventually he comes down. He had to come back to Florida. He was getting stationed in North Carolina. So he came back to Florida for like 60 days or something before he went. He took a leave, came down, and we spent a month and a half together, something like that. So of course, a lot of sexual immorality and all of that good stuff. Just kind of getting to know each other, doing things that married people do. And by this time, I moved into my second apartment, like by myself. So I get into that apartment, and we're spending time with each other. We do all this stuff, and the relationship was kind of up and down in the beginning because I had a hard time being loved. I had a hard time accepting that love from him because he was almost like too good to be true. Like everything that I wanted, whether it was communication, whether it was consistency, whether it was love, he gave it to me. And he came out the gate giving it to me. And it was like, it's been 6 months, you still haven't switched up. Oh, what's this about? So I would kind of look for problems in our relationship early on, and it would cause me to be mean to him. It will cause me to be just kind of bitter towards him. I was a lot to deal with. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was. So anyway, we date and we date and we date. Anyway, in September of that same year, I get pregnant with my second baby, Aubrielle. She'll be 3 this year, y'all. So yay. But I got pregnant with her, And that was a very tough pregnancy. Me and him kept breaking up, kept getting back together. We broke up, we got back together. Hard. So we got relationship problems. We got a baby on the way. We got family issues. This is even before we get married. It was like everything that could try and break us up was trying its best to break us up. Having a lot of complications during that pregnancy with my baby. Like literally, I had a subchorionic hematoma or hemorrhage when you have a blood clot in your uterus. I had a short cervix, and she was actually born at 35 weeks. So she was born early. Thank God, no NICU stay, no nothing. She was completely healthy by the grace of God. Birth to her and stuff. Me and him still kind of wasn't really on talking terms, more so co-parenting. And he was stationed in North Carolina. So then I read something that just kind of made me feel like I was convicted. Okay, I think it was Mike Todd, Relationship Goals. I read that it was something in there that made me call him. So I called him and I apologized to him and I got my man back. You know what I'm saying? So we got back together. Everything is going good. So we are just still dealing with each other. He's coming down to Florida from North Carolina when he can, stuff like that. In August of 2022 is when I actually moved. So first time living out of state, all of that. I moved with him, my husband, my boyfriend at the time, and it's me, him, my oldest daughter, and our daughter together. So we're having sex, we're doing things outside of marriage, we're still doing stuff. But at this point, when I was moving to North Carolina, like God really started to convict me. And it was just like I felt this urgency in my spirit to get myself together. Where I told him, like, hey, we can't keep having sex, And he was understanding to it. He was just like, you're right, this and that. So we would stop. But in those weak moments, and you give into it, and then you feel the condemnation of the enemy, and then you feel like, oh, I messed up so much. How is God gonna forgive me? And so I battled with like just sexual immorality for a long time. So we were dealing with each other, like I said, still having sex. I ended up having a miscarriage in October of 2022. My baby was only 6 months. So I'm like, dang, I can't do this again. Anyway, psych. Okay. In November, I got pregnant and I found out in December 3rd, 2022. Found out I was pregnant with my third baby. At this point, my second baby is only almost 7 months. Okay. So now I'm in North Carolina. I'm with this man. Life is going good between us. The only thing that is missing is Jesus, and that's the biggest thing. Like, he's not truly the center of our life. Even though we include him, he wasn't the center because we kept sinning. So, I'm gonna lie, that pregnancy, I was very sad majority of the time. Got pregnant with my baby, Amira, and then this is where I feel like God really used that. Like, I know that everything happens for a reason, but this is what really like makes me really realize that, because I got pregnant with Amira in December of 2022. When I got pregnant with her, I told Elijah, my husband, I was like, hey, like I don't want to have to move back to Florida, because we had a relationship where everything was already so long distance. And I'm like, I don't want to have to move back, but my insurance is not going to be covered in North Carolina. So I will have to move back. So he didn't want me to go nowhere. We loved each other. We wanted to be together. And he told me, he was like, look, this is like, by this time it's almost Christmas. So he was like, listen, when we get back home, we're getting married. He told me, he was just like, look, I know this is not the way that you want to do it. I know that, you want a wedding and this and that. He was like, we'll focus on that later. But right now, like, we need to do what's best for us. Okay. So we get back home January 13th, 2023. We got married. Yeah. So we get married. Now, y'all, the funny part is, because I had been in sexual sin for so long, I had a hard time believing that it was okay to have sex inside of marriage. And it was like, I would still wake up after we would have sex sometimes and I'd be like, oh God, please forgive me. And it's like, girl, you're good. You're good. So, so we get married in January. February 7th, I got saved. I gave my life to Christ. And I just felt like it was so necessary, because again, I kept feeling this pull. Like, I was having spiritual dreams. Like, when I tell y'all, God showing me, hey, you're gonna have spiritual warfare, like that's coming. Him showing me like just different things, and I started to hear his voice so much clearer. And I'm like, that, like, it don't matter how far gone you think you are, God hears you. He sees you, he loves you, and he will still speak to you even in your sin. I was sinning before we got married. I remember I we had abstained from sex for like a month or something like that. And mind y'all, that's hard. We live in the same house, sleeping in the same bed. We have a child already. So it's like, bro, okay. So we had abstained from sex for like a month, and then we ended up slipping into it. And that's probably when I got pregnant, y'all. I don't know. But we slipped into it. And then I woke up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I kid y'all not, the first verse that popped into my mind was, "For the wages of sin is death." I'm like, God, don't kill me now. Don't kill me. But I thank God for his grace and for his mercy, y'all, because mm, the things that I've done, I know I laugh at some of the stuff now, but it's honestly like nothing that's funny. Like sexual immorality is serious. The reason that you have those spirits, the reason that you feel so down and stuff, it a lot of times has to do with who you're giving your body to, and then how much time you're spending doing stuff, the TV shows that you watch, the music that you listen to. It sounds so cliche and like it's just not true, but it's the truth. Like, it's true. Everything that we do is spiritual, and it happens in the spirit realm before it happens in the physical. So when you start to see things manifest like depression, sadness, rejection, like just all of that stuff, is because these seeds have been planted. And a lot of times you're given access. 9 times out of 10, you're given access in some type of way. Anyway, so just to kind of wrap this testimony up, I got married. We got married. I had my third baby. We moved into this townhome that we're in now. And now we've been married for 2 years and a couple months, almost 2 years and 3 months. And yeah, I got pregnant last year. Y'all, I'm just fertile. I didn't know I was this fertile, I promise y'all. So my husband went on deployment. I went through like postpartum depression and stuff after my third baby. So that was already hard. I had no intention on getting pregnant and nothing like that. He went on deployment. I had been exercising, taking all this medicine to lose weight, not medicine, but like detox pills and stuff. So now I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling good. This man get home from deployment. We do married people things, and I got pregnant. So I found out I was pregnant in July. I think it was July 2nd, 2024. And I gave birth to her on February 14th, 2025. She was due March 10th, but she came a month early. So she was actually born at 36 weeks, and she was in the NICU for 2 weeks. So I also will make a video about that. Just kind of detailing my NICU stay, because honestly, that was one of the worst experiences of my life. It challenged my faith in God, and yeah, it's something to talk about. So I really hope that this all makes sense to y'all. But what I wanted to do is just kind of encourage somebody and let you know, like, you can overcome anything with Christ. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. There is nothing that's too big for him. I dealt with depression. I dealt with rejection. I dealt with sexual immorality. I dealt with lust. I've dealt with, just people lying on me, slander, and not being like, especially that, I think that was a very, very, like, that was a key moment in my life, was when I had to go through that fourth person that I dealt with, and a girl, like, dealing with that was probably one of the hardest seasons for me, because I had to not do things that I knew I could do. I had to deny my flesh. But the Bible also tells us that in this world you will have trouble. You will have trials. I got to a point now, y'all, I can pray for those same people that hurt me genuinely. Okay. Now it took some time, because I remember God telling me to pray for them. And I'm like, no, like, but obedience is better than sacrifice. And he says to do it for a reason. You're not doing it for those people. You're doing it for you, because the more that you hold on to that unforgiveness, a lot of times it can manifest into worse things. So I need to stop talking. My throat is hurting. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And I pray and I pray and I pray that it does encourage someone. And I mean, y'all can share y'all testimony in the comments, and just kind of let people know how good God is. Because honestly, since giving my life to Christ, I can't say I haven't had bad times. I just went through a whole rough patch. But there's peace in knowing where you're going. There's peace in knowing that you have Jesus that's right there. And people look at it like, oh yeah, yeah, Jesus. No, he is there with you. He cares about you. He cares about your well-being. He cares about your mind. He cares about all of that stuff. And he showed me that in so many ways. That's why I want to spread the gospel, because the stuff that I've been through, and this is just like a slightly detailed thing, but if y'all only knew, it's just like, to be where I am right now, he is truly a redeemer. I always said I wanted to get married by 25. I was married by 25. I think I got married at 24, actually. So it's like, to even those little things, like I've always wanted to be a mom, even though I have 4 kids and I'm 26. I'll be 27 this year. But even though I have 4 kids, it's still just like a blessing. Like I look back, because I'm motherhood is hard, okay? And trying to juggle that, working, being a wife, still trying to chase your own dreams, that stuff feels so heavy. But I just thank God that I'm able to reproduce. It's women out here that have like they have trouble. Me, he do it one time on 9 months later, it's a new baby, you know? So it's like, it's an underrated blessing. But again, I really hope this video does encourage y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I kind of feel like sometimes it's a little boring. I'm just a talker. I love to talk. Yeah. So, but I really do hope and pray that this does touch somebody in some type of way. And just seek Jesus. I'm not gonna lie, like my peace has come from him. The smile has come from him. This marriage, this home, these children, they have all come from him. And I want to give him credit and give him glory on my platform, because at the end of the day, it comes from him, you know? So y'all stay encouraged, stay blessed, and look forward to my next video. Again, I am Kayla, and yeah, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, notifications bell, all that good stuff. I love y'all, and y'all have a blessed day.